Ikigai, if you're not familiar with it, is kind of the culmination of, it's a Japanese principle, and it's the culmination of what you're good at, what you can get paid for, and what you love. And that's kind of what it defines as your purpose in life. And I think for a lot of us, especially, men and women, but especially women, I think a lot of times we feel this sense of not entirely sure what that purpose is. We're told what it should be, but we're not able to define it ourselves. Ikigai is something that Angela and I have both really connected on just organically. It's something we have talked about in so many different ways, and in so many different capacities. So today we wanted to share our ikigais, our stories, our origin stories, and kind of put that all together with why Wahine Wealth Club is important to us. So Angela, I would love to start with just, obviously I know you very well. We've had the opportunity to get to know each other in professional, but also in just personal ways. And I feel like you and I have shared a lot of similar experiences. When I met you, I felt like I think we've talked about this before, but I felt a very strong connection to you just with some of the things that we both have gone through. And so I guess when you think about your ikigai, when you think about kind of where you started, where you are now, and where you want to go, what would you say is been one of the things that has really propelled you forward into pursuing Wahine Wealth Club, pursuing Fight Story, pursuing all of these different things that you're doing? What would you say has been like that kind of moment that you were like, this is what I want to be doing. This is where I want to be going?
So let me first start off by saying that it was not easy to get here, to really finally understand, like, wow, this is what I'm meant to be doing. And this is like every day I wake up and it's a purposeful life that I'm living. And it took so much trial and error. And I feel like my focus and my focus and my motivation for things have shifted throughout the years.
Mm-hmm.
When I was fighting, obviously, like, my goal was to become a world champion. And then once I attained that, then it was, okay, now, like, how many times can I, rack up those wins, and I gotta stay the champion. And then having a bigger impact, though, was something that I always kind of longed for, or like strived for, because so many people told me, like, Angela, what you're doing just by fighting on that stage, like, you have such an impact on, like, millions of girls around the world, and like millions of, like, young people who want to, chase their dreams. But I didn't really feel it, because I felt like I was very, being a fighter, you're very focused on yourself, on your goals, and it's so I didn't really exactly, like, people were telling me that I was, an inspiration and things, but I didn't really truly feel it. Like, I wanted to give back more. And so after I retired, and then I started Fight Story, I felt like, oh, I'm finally able to kind of fulfill this desire in my heart to give back to people, to create this community, and I guess pass my knowledge and experiences of what I've been through, and help guide others through that. And, I felt like, and I still do, I really feel like I poured my heart and soul into Fight Story, and I really love what we're doing, and there's still so much more yet to come. But it was also really hard for me at the same time, because, like, the origin of Fight Story and why it came to be, for me, was very emotional. Obviously, like, my story, my sister's story. And so every time needing to talk about that and share, like, how Fight Story came to be, it was really difficult. So sometimes, like, it was really draining for me.
Yeah.
And so all of last year, while we're still working on Fight Story, and then at the same time being very present in my gym, United BJJ, feeling that sense of community in both spaces, I just wanted, I guess, like, I had a lot of time to think about, like, what am I doing? What is it that, what is my ikigai? Like, what is my purpose here? Like, I felt very lost, to be honest. Like, after I retired, that was 2023. And then the remainder of 2023 into 2024, I was like, man, like, I don't know who I am outside of being a fighter. Because my whole life I was pretty much a martial artist. I mean, I was competing since a young age. I kind of grew up in that world. And so now that that's not who I am, I'm like, well, what am I even good at other than fighting? And so that was a journey, trying to really ask myself those questions and reflect. And like every day I would like think about it a little bit more. And so yeah, I was thinking about my ikigai, and ikigai is, what is something that I love, something I'm good at, something that could help others, something that I could get paid for. Because to be honest, like, I was, like, my income stream was cut from being a professional fighter and world champion. And like, honestly, fighters and champions do not make nearly as much as you think they do. And so I really didn't have like a nesting egg to rely on those savings and things like after I retired. So I needed to kind of find an additional stream of income. And but I didn't want to just get a job just to get a job. I knew that I needed it to be something purposeful, so that I was like, that's the only way we'll succeed, if there's meaning behind it. And so in the past few years, I really felt connected to my female friends. I actually made like more female friends than I have in like my entire life. Like, growing up, I didn't have many like girlfriends. I was usually the only girl in the gym, training with like all boys. And so it was just kind of like a new thing for me. And I was like, wow, this is so nice. And at the same time, like, because I didn't have my sisters with me, like, I knew it would never like replace, that, but it was helping me get through like a really tough time. And like, they were the support system that I could lean on. And like, yeah, it was just really special. And I was like, wow, I've never had this before. Like, this is so nice. And so that kind of got me thinking, and I was like, I want to do something for women. I want to do something for girls. And I was like, there are so many women out there, I think, who feel the same way, and it's hard, like, especially in, I don't know how it is like out there in the real world, but sometimes like girls in the training room, like, they can get really catty. Like, they can be like, always trying to like, I want to be the number one girl, and like, that's how growing up, like, it was just like the culture, and like always trying to like outdo the other person, or like there can only be one. And I was like, I'm so done with that. Like, that's so toxic. And I was like, it doesn't have to be that way. And that's not how I want things to be. So it's like, I found so much like joy and just like strength in uplifting like my other female friends, and really coming together and like hearing what they've been through, and like they've been sharing advice with me, and like being able to have that bond, it was really special. And I was like, I want to do something further than this. I was like, we could probably create like a whole community of these like kind of like-minded women who are all trying to trying to find the same thing is essentially like, what's our purpose here? You know, what's life all about? You know, and like, how do we make the most of that? Because I don't think that you should be waiting until you're like 80 to really feel like you made it and you're like there and you figured out life. Like, you could start doing that today of like where you're at. And it just takes a lot of honesty with yourself, a lot of like vulnerability, and like having that kind of like killing the ego and just like really searching of like all these different layers and all these different parts of who you are, because at the end of the day, we are all human. But, you know, there's beauty in that. And like I said, like, I found Wahine Wealth Club and what we're doing now through so much trial and error, through so many days of like confusion and thoughts of like, what am I even like doing? Like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. And so finally to arrive here, I just have so much passion and heart and excitement for just this beautiful thing that we're creating.
Yeah.
And I just want to share it with others.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much.